business, and the fourth one in family and consumer sciences. We also offer opportunities, internship, both locally in Samoa and in the States for our students. I'm very happy to stand before you at this part of the program, because looking around, especially the local participants, the majority, if not most of you, graduated from the American Samoa Community College. Our purpose is to making sure that we prepare future leaders, future policymakers, future farmers, future agriculturalists, like majority of you are sitting here, coming together to make sure that American Samoa is a resilient society or community during disasters. Our first component is research. The second component is research. Trying to save the time. There are 3 research programs at the land grant program at ASCC. The first one is horticulture. One of the success story for us at ASCC, Dr. Ian Kerr is the first Samoan scientist born, raised, educated at ASCC, returned and served the land grant program at the American Samoa. First Samoan scientist. In the many years in the past, all the scientists were from Off Island. He's our horticulturalist. The second program is entomology. Dr. Mark Schmedick, dealing with pests and diseases. He's from Off Island. And then the third program, research program, community for land grant, is the community health research area. If you look at that photo, our second Samoan to become a researcher and a scientist at the land grant program, he is now known as our community health researcher, Dr. Aifili Tufa. Born and raised, graduate of ASCC, returning to American Samoa. And this is why education is very important. In order for us to strengthen disaster resiliency, education. The people who are coordinating and hosting and facilitating these sessions, many of them are graduates of ASCC, especially the Director Tuto. In the research program, for the horticulture program, we are conducting research projects on improving traditional crops through conventional plant breeding for disease and climate tolerance. Dr. Ian Kerr has developed more and breeded more than 300 varieties of taro. Taro is Colocasia esculenta. He has selected top 10 varieties. But right now, because of the impacts of climate change, he's working on developing taro varieties that are tolerant to the salt water intrusion. And the request was from Onu'u, because many of our islands, especially the taro from Onu'u, you have seen the slides the first or the second day, the salt intrusion, salt water intrusion. And there are also taufusi or wetland taro in Ofu, Olusenga, and Ta'u, and other parts of American Samoa. So trying to make sure that our community in American Samoa, especially the farming community, is resilient, we have to develop these varieties of traditional crops. Taro is very important to us. That is resistant and tolerant to salt, the heat, and the high concentration of the water. Please go back to the other slides from Muli. The second one, Dr. Ian Kerr has, right there, hold on, from Muli, developed and selected vegetable crops. More than 80% of the fresh produce coming to American Samoa are from the boats or on the plains. So what Dr. Kerr has identified and selected more than 5 different vegetable varieties that are suitable based on the growing conditions in American Samoa. Looking at the drought, looking at the heat, looking at the disease, etc. So we have those vegetable varieties to make sure that our farming community and the farm families have access to that resources. And this topic has been covered for the past 2 days. And the addition of the fourth one, during a disaster or after a disaster, our community health researcher is now looking at programs where he examined the health impacts, such as nutrition deficiencies and or vulnerability to foodborne illnesses during time of diseases and during times of emergencies. So that's part of our research program. And we're also working with University of Hawaii on the Children Healthy Living program. Next one. The third component of the land grant programs is extension. The knowledge from the classroom, the research finding and experimental results from research, it's no use if it sits on the shelf. We have to take that knowledge, that research-based information and data-driven information and deliver it to all the people of American Samoa. And that's where the third component of a land grant comes in, extension. And we do that through our 4-H youth program, through our agriculture extension program, family and consumer science program, and our forestry program. Next slide, from Mole. So looking at the contribution of extension to food security, we are looking at increasing local production and consumptions of healthy fruits, vegetables, livestock, and fish. Looking at the first bullet, identify and promote suitable crops, varieties, and provide growing methods. Many of us are used to planting the kapisi on the palapala on the ground, but also we have the hydroponics, another alternative methods to produce vegetables and food. The second bullet, encourage nutritious, affordable, and locally produced fruits and vegetables. During disaster, we have to use what is available, our local produce, and we have our nutritionists and nutrition educators working to make sure that that information is out in the community. Nutrition education, food and produce safety, pesticide safety, animal health production and management. Want to make sure the genetic diversity of livestock through artificial insemination, aquaculture and aquaponics. I want to say a few words about this project. The success of the aquaculture project, not only collaboration with the University of Hawaii, but we have the Star-Kissed company in American Samoa. And this is one of the ways that land grant is helping our farmers during time of disasters. They can come to land grant and produce their own feed fish at no cost. And again, recognize the contribution from a local business or company, the Star-Kissed. Agroforestry, many scientists nowadays from Europe, from the US, around the world, they're promoting agroforestry. But my friends, agroforestry has been practiced by our ancestors for more than thousands and thousands of years. The 4-H youth projects, etc., again, focusing, making sure our young people are taken care of during times of disaster. Next slide, please. Traditional food preservation, traditional knowledge, traditional knowledge. If you look at that slide, I'm not sure if Tapa'au is here. Tapa'au, Dr. Daniel Mangiwanga, he was the former director of land grant. You can see him on that slide. This is part of our activity in preparing what we call Masi Samoa or Masiulu or Masifai. Taking advantage of the abundance, trying to avoid the waste that's been practiced by our ancestors thousands and thousands of years ago. For our friends from abroad, this is fermented breadfruit. And it can be in the ground for 6 months, for a year, or 2 years, according to the information that was collected from the community. It is a traditional method. After a hurricane or a disaster, Masi Ulu or Masi Fa'i or Masi Samoa. Next slide from Molly. Opportunities. Want to make sure I don't go beyond my time. The American Samoa Community College Land Grant Program will continue to promote sustainable and climate resilient agriculture through its programs in research, education, and extension. We will continue to select and promote climate resilient crops and livestock. We will continue to improve the resilience of subsistence farms and profitability of commercial production while providing a higher quality product for local consumers. Promotion of healthy diets and lifestyle. We are also exploring the options of mariculture. Mariculture. Again, emphasizing the importance of traditional knowledge. We also come up with the recommendation of community vegetable gardens. In that way, many of the residents of American Samoa who do not reside in the villages can have access to a piece of land where they can take part in what we call a community vegetable gardens. Disaster and pandemic preparedness and climate change impacts mitigation. And of course, human resources development, capacity building in all levels, education, education, education. And the last bullet is strengthening governance and organizational structure. These are just recommendations. Next slide. Looking at the food security and with the theme of strengthening disaster resiliency in American Samoa, especially from the food security perspective, we recommend to revive the 2009 American Samoa Food Policy Council. And I know Tapa'au was part of that group. Second, continue the work of the 2022 American Samoa Food Security and Safety Committee as being approved by Governor Lemanu and Lieutenant Governor Talawenga. We recommend to look at policies and legislation, existing one. Some need some reinforcement, especially looking at the environments that promotes healthy food choices and healthy living. Looking at the food imports. Are we importing the non-nutritious and fatty foods? Food waste, there's so much food waste. Food safety, land access. So those are some of the recommendations. The final recommendation is, go back to that slide from Mole, partnerships. It is very important. Majority of us in this room are from the government side. But it's very important for us to engage the non-government organizations, because those are the ones who will be in the forefront in the villages, the churches, the business community, and other grassroots level community groups. So it's important for us to come together. The second one, recommendation, continue our work with our partnership from SPC, SPREP, Atoa Samoa, and the national, and also our partners from the national. There are so many federal partners here from FEMA, other federal agencies. And the last one is international partners. My apologies, Acting Governor Talawenga. But one speaker touched on the political status of American Samoa in her presentation the first day. Very important to me. Very important, the political status of American Samoa. When it comes to international partners, I'm a strong advocate. Regardless of our political status, American Samoa should be a signatory to those international initiatives and agreements, because we are affected by those decisions. I don't want to sound like play with politics. Next slide. I know I've been going through the slides fast and there's so much information. Please, if you have questions, follow us. We have a website. Follow us at our Facebook, and also follow us on the Instagram. So If you have any questions, please visit our office or you follow those tools. Whawhataitele mo le avanoa, te aise fisili I alo mo le avanoa whawhatai.
That was very informational. We need to know every resources that are available. May I ask everyone to please stand? Yeah. We just had lunch, so please, malum, 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 talk to fa. Makwai ko ulut ka ko tol fa. Koi malum, 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 talk fa. Hands up to the right. Shake it, shake it, shake it. Thank you very much. Please sit down. Thank you. All right. I love to get our young, aspiring leaders, and I know that I was very proud of her accomplishments. So I have here Mrs. Jewel Tuiasopo. She serves as American Samoa Coral Reef Conservation Program and Coastal Zone Management Liaison at Linker, supporting NOAA's Office of Coastal Management. Prior to this role, Mrs. Jewel Tuiasopo served at the American Samoa Environmental Protection Agency for 9 years and was an enlisted member of the United States Air Force Reserve. Thank you for your service. She holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Environmental Studies from Chaminade University of Honolulu and a Master's in Science degree in Environmental Science Management from Southern Illinois University. Let's welcome Jewel. Yay!
Thank you, Director Lisa, for the lovely introduction and for the opportunity to come here and share some of the work that NOAA's Office for Coastal Management does. As Director Lisa mentioned, I'm a contractor in support of NOAA's Office for Coastal Management. I would like to note that my position is based here in American Samoa, so my role is to work closely with the American Samoa Coastal Management Program, as well as the Coral Reef Advisory Group, to provide them with direct technical assistance. So I think I got the short end of the stick because this is my second time presenting today. Thank you, Director Lisa. But in terms of the work that, earlier I did a presentation about NOAA's Digital Coast, which is basically a visualization tool that's available for anyone to access online to kind of see coastal hazards and assess risk. But for this part of my presentation, I would like to focus on NOAA's Coral Reef Conservation Program, which is the other part of my job. So why is this important to resilience, to climate change? Because of course we know that coral reefs are important. To me, they are usually the first line of defense. You know, if our reefs are not there, then the waves break closer to the shoreline. And there was some literature there that said coral reefs dampen more than 97% of waves before they reach the coastline. So for me today, that is my message. When we think of climate change and we think of resilience, we should also think about, our ancestors and the way they lived, to really protect our environment, because those resources provide very important ecosystem services, and I would like everyone to remember that. And as today is the last day, to kind of use that as kind of like our guiding light. So the NOAA's Coral Reef Conservation Program, for some of you who are not familiar, it's actually a matrix program. It works across different line offices of NOAA, and this includes NOAA's National Ocean Service, the National Marine Fisheries Service, the Office of Oceanic Atmospheric Research, and the National Environmental Satellite Data and Information Service. It kind of mirrors what American Samoa has in place for the way they've decided, or you've decided, to kind of manage your coral reefs, and that is through the Coral Reef Advisory Group. It is not just by one agency, it is a collaboration. And as of right now, it is housed under the Department of Marine and Wildlife Resources. With various member agencies, including the local EPA, the Department of Commerce, our sanctuary, the National Park Service, and I believe Rose Atoll. So the program's mission is to protect, conserve, and restore coral reef resources by maintaining healthy ecosystem function. And I'd like to stress this again, collaboration is very critical to coral reef conservation. We partner with different state and territorial governments, academic institutions, non-governmental organizations, and community groups to take targeted approaches to local issues that impact coral reef ecosystems. So there are various grant programs available through NOAA's Coral Program. One of them is the State and Territorial Cooperative Agreements, and that's the funding that the American Samoa Coastal Management Program and the Coral Reef Advisory Group receives. And that's where the bulk of my work lies. Other grant programs include the funding that goes through the fishery councils, the funding that the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation receives, and then they pass through to other organizations. And then there's the Ruth Gates program. They also have an international program and a NGO partnership. One thing I'd like to mention is that through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, if there was like an emergency that were to happen, there are funds available through NIFWIF for coral protection and restoration. So where do we work? We work across the different U.S. coral jurisdictions, and that includes American Samoa, Guam, CNMI, the state of Hawaii, the state of Florida, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. The program also spans into other areas, including some of the Micronesian waters and some of the other Pacific areas. So the Coral Program actually has a strategic plan in place, and their vision is a thriving, diverse, resilient coral reef that sustains valuable ecosystem services for current and future generations. And they kind of structure this into 4 pillars. The first one is to increase resilience to climate change, and they have a strategy under that. The second one is to improve fisheries sustainability. Third one is to reduce land-based sources of pollution, and the fourth one is to restore viable coral populations. And I put this up here because I would really like to stress the importance of collaboration. I work here locally, and I am more than happy to come and meet with, or brainstorm any ideas that any agencies that they may have in terms of coral reef protection or restoration. Or I'd also recommend to reach out to the local Coral Reef Advisory Group or the Coastal Zone Management Program. So that's all I had today. Thank you for your time, and thank you again for the opportunity, Director Lisa.
All right. Our next speaker, not many people know that he has a Matai title, but he is Faleleifi Ryan Tuato'o. He's a proud son of the village of Alofau on the eastern side of this island of Tutuila. He is Assistant CEO and currently serves as a manager of the Marketing and Customer Service Division of the American Samoa Power Authority for 15 years. In his position, Mr. Ryan Tuato'o provides oversight and manages the implementation of ASPA renewable energy projects. We're all about strengthening our disaster resilience, and Ryan will share about the renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Thank you, for allowing us to present today to discuss our role in this whole disaster resilience, not just for the summit, but for the territory. And I'm really proud to see that the Honorable Acting Governor is here, because this is one of his and Governor Lemanu's mandates for ASPA to look at ways to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels. Sorry, Will Sword. I know you talked about that on Monday and how we're dependent on fossil fuels like most Pacific Islands are. So part of what we're trying to do is lessen our dependence on fossil fuels, reduce our carbon footprint, and as well as, in the theme of resilience, be a more resilient territory with how we provide energy for our people. And it helps us lessen our dependence on fossil fuels, build our economy by providing cheaper rates for electricity, and then the overall impacts of climate change. So we're throwing our little stone, as the Honorable Acting Governor mentioned in on his speech on the first day. You know, we're just a drop in this big ocean, but we're making our impact. We're not just sitting around and waiting for, you know, the industrialized nations to do their part. We're doing our part as well. So we're mandated by the American Samoa Renewable Energies Commission to reduce our to get our renewable energies up by 50% by 2025, and then 100% by 2040. I think we're happy to say that by 2030, we're hoping to be 100% with our renewables. So it's a long journey. Thanks to COVID, we've kind of lost a couple of years, but I'm proud to say that we're on the right track now. So first, I want to acknowledge the efforts and the assistance from the Department of Interior, Ms. Lydia Faleofine, for putting in, allowing us to do practical studies on what the best renewable energy programs are for American Samoa. So in 2015, we were able to commission a renewable energy study through the National Renewable Energy Labs. It was paid for by the Department of Interior to see what is viable for American Samoa. And then in 2018, we were able to finalize that study, and we came up with 3 options, which is the wind energy, solar energy, and as well as geothermal. So we did geothermal studies, and we were not able to find any hot pockets, so to speak, in the American Samoa archipelago. So, sorry, this is not mine. Yeah, we weren't able to find geothermal, so we opted to do both solar and wind as our means of getting to these mandates. So if I may, our major project, which is the wind energy project, we were able to send out tenders for interest for what's called a power purchase agreement, which essentially we don't have the capital to build wind farms. So we were able to procure a company that's willing to build this for American Samoa. The beauty about wind is that it's continuous. You will always have wind, whether you're high up or low. So we were able to determine an area that has very good wind, stable wind resources. And that area is up in the Aluau region, which is the mountains. If you look up toward that way, you'll see an antenna up there, and there's an area of flatland there called Manunu that we're currently exploring for wind turbines. So the beauty of power purchase agreements is this company is going to build the wind turbines, manage the wind turbines, operate them, as well as sell us cheaper electricity for the next 20 to 30 years. 25 to 30 years. So these projects usually cost within the hundreds of millions of dollars. And we don't have like I mentioned, we don't have the capital to do that. We don't have availability of grants to build these infrastructures. So we opted to do what's called a power purchase agreement. And we're happy to say that we're currently in our preliminary study phase. We have a wind monitoring device that's currently in Aluau. We're also exploring geotech studies and and we're continuing with our environmental impact studies, as well as the cultural and historical studies. So the project, we're looking at between a 3 to 5 year turnaround. The reason why it's going to take long is because we need to make sure we follow Fish and Wildlife rules with regards to endangered species, and also historical preservation opportunities to make sure that we don't violate any local laws or federal laws relating to historical preservation. So we're hoping to break ground with this project in 2024, toward the end of 2024, but we're ongoing with our studies right now. So we're excited to get that going. It's been a long challenge with COVID delaying everything for 3 years. We're happy to say that the wheels are turning. So we've got the buy-in from the chiefs from the respective villages of Aloau and Aumaleone, as well as the government leaders and various communities. So our goal is to work side by side with any environmentalists or folks that are looking at preserving the environment. So we've involved the local Department of Marine and Wildlife, as well as the local Historical Preservation Office, working side by side to make sure we follow any guidelines or rules to make this project into fruition. So we're expecting up to 50% of energy reduction when this project is on board. And like Mr. Sword mentioned, we're very dependent on fossil fuels, and part of the challenge is that when the cost of fuel rises, so does our cost of energy. And a lot of you know here, and I'm embarrassed to say, that our price of electricity is very high. And part of what we've been mandated to do is to find a way to reduce that price. And this is one of the means of getting to that mandate. We also have a solar PV farm, which is currently, we're hoping to break ground by the end of the year. We've procured a company that's going to build, as well as a power purchasing agreement where they're going to be building this project, operating it, managing it, and selling electricity at a low rate to American Samoa, to ASPA, for the next 25 to 30 years. So we're hoping to have this project in operation by late 2024, and we're going to be breaking ground, if not end of November, early December. So we're excited to be in partnership with this company to provide this opportunity. It'll help us diversify our means of providing energy security for our territory and to lessen our fossil fuel dependence. The good thing about American Samoa is we have a lot of good sun, but then when the rain and clouds take over, we don't get a lot of energy production out of there, especially at night when there's no sun. So that's why we want to diversify with wind and solar, so we can have continuous power to provide hopefully 100% of our needs. And we, as Mr. Sword mentioned, we still have our generators on hot start, because you never know with disasters. I mean, these are in the environment, so they could be damaged or lost. But then we have our generators as backups in case we need to. We have to have a plan. We have to make sure we provide electricity to our people. So. Another big project that we are looking at is called a waste-to-energy plant, or a gasification plant, where we will be all our municipal waste that's collected. As I mentioned, we are also in charge of the solid waste collections. All our municipal waste collected will be run through a gasification plant, and it'll help prolong the life of our landfill. And we hope that we are just signed our contract with the company that we're dealing with back in August. So we're hoping to break ground on this early next year, once they are able to get a waste stream study done for what we have. And this will tremendously take care of our tire problem, any issues with green waste. So this will essentially, I don't want to say burn, but it'll break down the waste. We received our US EPA air emissions permit, so that's was a huge obstacle. and then the plant is estimated to be about between 7 to 10 million. But we're looking to find grants to help subsidize the cost of this because we don't have the capital to do this. Many of our smaller projects currently or already existing is our hybrid solar and PV diesel generation in Manua. We have solar in Manua and Ofu. We're currently having some inverter issues. As some of you may know, over time, a lot of this technology, they tend to deteriorate, especially in the elements. So we're looking to rebuild our battery systems in Ofu for the solar and then some inverter problems in Ta'u. We've currently got a solar project in Aunu'u that's going to break ground or could be completed later on this year. We received a grant through the Department of Interior, through the EIC program. Again, thank you, Lydia, for providing this opportunity for us. It'll help us lower operational costs in the outer islands and as well as keep a cleaner neighborhood for Manua. As someone mentioned yesterday or the day before, the high king tides impacted our power plant in Onu'u. So we're looking at moving this power plant away from the shores, closer inland, to be a hybrid system with this with solar. So we run the solar as much as we can and store it in batteries and then use our generators as backups or in cases of increased need. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to keep it short because I know everyone's ready to go tonight. But so in the theme of keeping to resilience, I really thankful for the governor and lieutenant governor for pushing us to fulfill this mission, not just for our energy dependency or energy security, but to also reduce the rates for our people so we can afford to live here and stop people from moving off island and hopefully get people to move back. So thank you for the time.
At this time, before his closing remarks, we have a small presentation of gift from Honorable Minister Tuolusulu Cedric Boses Alessa Schuster, Minister of the MNRE and Samoa Tourism, Government of Samoa. And I would like to call upon our Fata Brian Kayo, who is the Consul General to the Samoa's Consul Office in American Samoa. If you could present this to Honorable Governor Talawenga Eleasalo Valele Ale. Can we have the, take a picture? Yeah. Yeah, they want to take a picture, Fata. If you could move closer. Taitele a fionga minister ya toa susulu ele lonanga lei ya a fionga kovana. And I know everybody was waiting for his closing remarks, especially me. So it is with my extreme honor and pleasure, with all due respect, Honorable Talawenga Eleasalo Valere Ale, Acting Governor of American Samoa, Secretary of State, Governor's Authorized Representative, Chairman of the Hazard Mitigation Council, Chairman of the American Samoa Resilience Commission, among many other hats that he wears. And for that, we're forever grateful. Honorable Governor Talawenga.
First of all, please give yourselves a big hand for being here all 3 days. Mahalofa ftai. On behalf of Governor Limanu and the people of American Samoa, I want to first of all thank our visitors from FEMA, the Army Corps of Engineers, Department of Interior, Office of Insular Affairs, the U.S. Geological Survey, Red Cross, Department of Transportation, and all of our visitors from SPREP and the government, independent government of Samoa. Thank you all for coming to American Samoa and sharing your expertise in the area of disaster resilience. I also like to thank our local community, government leaders, Red Cross, and private sector. Thank you for joining this summit and sharing your views on how we can together address the issue of natural disasters when they happen. I am comforted by what I have seen and learned that we have the resources, we have the know-how and the ability to be able to address natural disasters when they happen. It's comforting to know that we have great support from our federal government, our NGOs, and our Pacific community, so that when we are in the throes of natural disasters of all sorts, that we can reach out and ask for help. And this summit has allowed us here in American Samoa to see and touch and talk to you in person instead of through a Zoom or a phone call. And we hope that the relationships that we started here today will continue, and when the next big disaster happens, you'll receive a call from Director Lisa and you'll know exactly that she likes tequila, you know, things like that. But I don't want to hold you much longer. I just want to express our gratitude for this opportunity and look forward to seeing all of you here next year for the 3rd annual Disaster Resilience Summit. Soy fua mai manuia.
Thank you very much, Honorable Governor Talawenga. And for that, I'd like to ask everyone to get up, please. If we could just stand, please. I have a song I'd like to sing farewell to our federal family, our Pacific cousins that have graced us with your presence and are kind enough to be here to impart and share your knowledge. And that song is Goodbye, My Friends, in Samoan Filini. So I will begin. Tofa mai fileni ole o fo'i ai fo lau le vasa le ali e pulei meleke ne ingalo mai Samoa siota ele ele ai mana tua mai pea le apa se. Oh, I never will forget you. Samoa e ngaloa tu. Oh, I never will forget you. Samoa e ngaloa tu. I do want to thank everyone. I have one more song, if that's okay. E wafa fetai, wafa fetai, wa mali e mata e vai. Wata silava oe, wata silava oe, ilone fa amoe moe, Fa'afetai is thank you in Samoan, and that is how we thank each and every one of you today. Mai ni tatu whamanuiangas tolu, hip hip, hip hip, hip hip. Hey, all right. If you don't mind, please take a seat. Bishop Timo Ma'o will close us with a prayer, and may you all have safe journeys home. God bless. Thank you.
No mātou tamai le langi, whaftai tele, no alofa malanga lei, I le tamai ma le poto whapena whapopoina ia te I mātou I tangata whatau waa. O whaina mātou sau la pule whatasi mpaanga mai atunu umau, e me se mātou moto toa oi. Mātou whaftai Ele lau ele sami ma le ea whapena tuina mai a te I mātou e au mātou tausi whapelpele iai. Mātou te whaftai ia onga matangofia whapena o ina I mātou ia mawhai na mātou saunia ai e pui pui ma tāpena I teimio mala whanatura ia mawhai ona saunga le mū mātou tangata. Mātou te whaftai se sili lo tongiola o le tau fōi o whamnianga e taitai mtanga renga ma le au whainga renga sa tāpena ina ma saunia nei whatasinga. Whamnia umalawa ia te la tau mwhaina whatasi me nei aso se amata mai le amatanga se ia o lawa sioi. Sau steimi mātou tāpe ape ia o whamnianga pe au le ea e lunga le wala televavi ia mawhai ona tau nuu mai sanga le mū mātou I mātou ainga. Mātou te ole atu nei mea umalawa, mātou te alofa ia te o le swafa Iesu Keriso. Amen.
Thank you very much. Yeah, whaftaite lava, molto lava mai. Yeah,